My stepfather tormented me for years. The day I finally stood up to him changed everything. Have you ever had that perfect moment when years of powerlessness suddenly shifted in your favor? When I was 13, I experienced a victory so sweet I can still taste it 3 decades later. My mother remarried when I was 8. My stepfather Dale was what people politely called old school. What they really meant was he was a controlling bully who thrived on intimidation. He stood 6'2", had a booming voice, and made sure everyone in our house knew he was in charge. From day one, Dale targeted me specifically. My crime, being a quiet boy who preferred books to football. He called this raising me right, but it felt more like systematic humiliation. His favorite game was finding what I feared most and exploiting it. I was terrified of deep water after nearly drowning at 6, so he'd regularly throw me into the deep end of pools or lakes, laughing as I panicked and struggled to shore. When I developed a fear of heights, he'd force me onto high diving boards or rooftops for character building. The worst part wasn't the physical torment, it was the psychological warfare. He'd serve foods I hated for dinner, then force me to sit until midnight if I didn't clean my plate. He'd wake me at 4 a.m. for surprise inspections of my room, dumping drawers and shelves if everything wasn't perfectly organized. My mother saw it all but stayed silent. "He's just trying to toughen you up," she'd whisper when I'd cry. "Don't make waves." By 13, I'd grown nearly 6 inches in a year. I was still skinny but no longer small. Dale hadn't noticed the change bullies rarely do until it's too late. The turning point came during a family dinner at a local steakhouse my mother's birthday. Dale had been drinking and was in rare form criticizing everything from my haircut to how I held my fork. As we left the restaurant, he suddenly stopped in the parking lot and turned to me. "You think you are tough now that you've grown a few inches?" he sneered, poking my chest. "Go ahead, tough guy. Hits me as hard as you can right in the gut." He puffed out his stomach, grinning that familiar mocking smile. He'd done this before, challenged me to hit him, then either laughed at my weak attempt or used it as an excuse to teach me a lesson about respecting authority. But something was different this time. Maybe it was seeing my mother's resigned expression. Maybe it was simply that I was tired of being afraid. I looked him directly in the eyes and saw uncertainty flicker across his face. He wasn't used to me making eye contact. Without a word, I pulled my arm back and channeled every ounce of fear, every humiliation, every silent tear into my fist. I hit him dead center in his stomach with everything I had. The sound he made wasn't human, a cross between a gasp and a moan as he doubled over, face turning purple. He hadn't expected me to actually do it. He certainly hadn't expected it to hurt. When he finally caught his breath, rage replaced shock. "You little," he started, straightening up. My mother's voice cut through the tension. She stepped between us, something she'd never done before. "If you weren't ready, that's your problem, not his." The drive home was silent. That night I lay awake expecting retaliation that never came. The next morning Dale spoke to me directly at breakfast, not with his usual commands, but with an awkward question about school. Over the following weeks, the character building exercises stopped. The food battles ended. He still wasn't kind, but the torment subsided years later. After my mother's divorce, she confessed that night in the parking lot was when she finally saw Dale clearly, not as the strong man she thought she needed, but as the bully he truly was. Sometimes standing up doesn't require words or dramatic declarations. Sometimes it's just one moment where you refuse to play your assigned role in someone else's power game. I faced many challenges since then, but none as transformative as the night I learned that bullies are often just waiting for someone to call their bluff.